Some cards have borders, some cards don't have borders. And the bordered cards are easy. You're looking for the same amount of space on the top of a card as you are the bottom of a card, the left side, the right side. And if you've got to shift any direction, your centering grade is going to be lower than you'd like it to be. Cards that don't have a border, it's a little trickier because then you've got to start comparing it to other cards, other examples, other samples of that card. And you've got to determine, okay, is mine the one that the image is where it's supposed to be? Or is this one, this other one, the one that the image is supposed to be? No, so corners to me are an easy one. Cards today are, for the most part, are such a hard, a hard stock that you can tell whether or not a card has, 90-degree corners. Most cards, unless you're talking about a die cut or, something, like a Pokemon card, most sports cards should have 90-degree point corners. If they don't have a corner that you look at, and obviously you don't want to do this, but if you can look at a card and say, yeah, that looks like it's going to hurt if I jab it into my arm, it's probably got a good crisp corner. Vintage, you don't want, I'm not gonna say you don't want, but vintage, you're not looking for 90-degree corners to have a high grade necessarily. With vintage, a lot of times that 90-degree corner, that perfect point, is almost going to be an indicator that the card's been trimmed or altered to create that point. Vintage typically has a distinct but softer corner.
So in using Card Score and using the scanning feature, you can really get into looking at that kind of thing.
Yep, you can. With the scans being 2400 DPI, yeah, you can get down and see grains of paper, which is kind of cool. It's neat to be able to really, look at a card better than the naked eye. Edges are a lot like corners. The biggest thing you're looking for is paper loss or shape, differential. If a card has, a jagged edge, that card has damage. They're short of a die cut, card. A card should not have anything other than a straight edge. If a card has, if it's a foil card and it's got what looks to be a lip, cards should not have lips. That means the foil is peeling. And it's the same. It's the same thing with the corners. On the vintage as it is the edges on the vintage. That you're getting down and you're looking for, well, is this a perfectly straight edge? And if it's a perfectly straight edge on a vintage card, it's probably been trimmed. It's probably been altered, or at least strong reason to suspect that it has. You're looking for dimples. You're looking for factory lines. You're looking for obvious, scratches, things of that nature. On the modern cards. On the vintage cards, you're looking for restoration, efforts. If a vintage card is too vibrant, that's something you look at. If a vintage card has, ink blots in the borders where there shouldn't be ink blots, you're looking for that. And the same thing on a modern card. That sugar stain, that wax mark. Because sometimes on the older stuff, the last card of the pack, got some wax on it from the pack being sealed. Those are absolutely surface issues, and there's really nothing you can do about it because, 40, 50, 60, 70 years in some of these cases, that sugar has eaten the ink, it's eaten the cardboard, and there's nothing you can do about that.
If you're with me, get loud, let me hear you. This crowd came to